That is the hardest part of that ring.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
For the hardest part of the ring.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the hardest part of the ring.
Hello and welcome to episode 178 of Hardest Part of the Ring, the podcast where some friends get together to celebrate the wonder of professional wrestling. My name is Adam, and you can catch me on Twitch at twitch.tv/ad_ad_ad. And I'm joined today by fellow content providers, Sam Andrews.
You can catch me on Twitch at twitch.tv/_B+player.
Very nice.
That account probably does exist.
Yeah,
is it yours?
No, I'm just going to see now who it does belong to.
I bet it's some like Russian Counter-Strike legend.
Have you dipped your toes into the Counter-Strike Twitch streaming world yet, Adam? Or is it
I have watched some. It's mad.
Yeah.
It's mad. They're so good.
It's all aimbots, though. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. That's the voice of John Mewett. I'm giving full names because I did for Sam. I'm Adam Richardson. Hello.
Hi,
John.
You're
going to hear a lot of John tonight.
There is a B+ player on Twitch, but he's got 0 followers, so could you follow him? I don't know what he does.
Yeah, everybody go and follow him and then follow me. I've been having a lovely time on Twitch, and Sam has been involved. He's been doing some graphics for me, and he's been in the streams, commenting and getting some love from people. And it turns out that John's been on the streams just lurking, being quiet, not even saying hello. But that's fine.
Just watching you force women to get pregnant is what I've been seeing so far.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Let's not give any context. That will intrigue people.
The streams are just like the podcast. You do all the talking, I do a little bit, and John just sits there.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. Perfect. The last episode of this wonderful podcast, which is where all our incredible careers in the media began. Look at us now. The last episode was the spring quiz, which was mad. That was 2 weeks ago. And it was a great quiz. New format, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire kind of thing. What was it called? Who Wants to Be a Million
point
champion? Listeners won't be surprised to know that I have not received my trophy.
As soon as I get paid, it's going in the post.
Have you seen that Virgil is getting cancer treatment?
Yeah, I did see.
Yeah. That takes the shine off the Virgil trophy, doesn't it?
Kill the mood.
Does a little bit.
Yeah.
Kill the mood, John. Sam, sorry. It's been 2 weeks. I've spent all my time on Twitch. I've forgotten who you two are.
If you don't like that, you won't like the news about Jim Duggan.
Oh, yeah, he's got back.
He's got
What
cancer as well. Oh, cancer for all of them. Awful. What a downer.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, sending our best wishes. Would you say we're sending thoughts and prayers?
Hey-oh.
That's probably more apt.
That's for you, Jim.
Yeah. Right. The quiz, I won it. Oh, shit. That's kind of spoilt it. If you hadn't listened, it's still worth listening. Go back and listen. It was great. It was a different format. We enjoyed it. This podcast is the 5th episode of Follow the Feud.
Another John Heavy episode.
Yeah. It's Daniel Bryan versus The Authority. And here's the theme music for Follow the Feud.
The fact is, Rock, you got the WWF title, and I want it.
You have become the New York Yankees.
You're going to be damaged good, just like Elizabeth.
You don't listen to the Yes Movement.
I will never fight my own flesh and blood.
Sean, you were in on that?
Fucking idea. Nigga, nobody's got a fucking witness.
Follow the Feud.
This is the 5th episode. John is amazing because not only has he put together the watch list, which I forgot to put out on Twitter, but doing the research so we know what to watch, little segments, matches. He's also done the running order for tonight. So I can tell you that if you haven't listened to any of these episodes and you've got this far into this episode, stop, go back, listen to episode 141, the prologue, 143, anger management, 152, the Orr trilogy, and 170, all in the family. Then you'll be all up to date. You can listen to episode 5, which is the penultimate episode of this Follow the Feud.
Absolutely, yep. One more to go after this, and we're done.
So this is going to be episode 5, the road to WrestleMania. And we're going to hand over to John after this.
Had time to avoid it.
Oh, what an explosion. of a human body on the ring apron.
The hardest part of the ring.
Yeah, very small, if any, padding. It's basically that mat you're looking at. And that damn thing is nothing but feels like, I don't know, sandpaper.
Just before we pass over to you, actually, John, the first episode of Follow the Feud, 141, March 2021.
Oh, just over a year.
That's not bad.
Yeah. It's actually not too bad, but this is the 5th episode. We're taking our time.
It's a long feud to follow.
It is, and you've got to spread out the good stuff. Anyway, here's John.
Hello. So, Follow the Feud is where we revisit some of the biggest storylines and feuds in wrestling by rewatching some of the key moments and matches. And as Adam mentioned, we're doing The Authority versus Daniel Bryan, which roughly runs from 2012 to 2014. And we're currently looking at the road to WrestleMania, which covers the 2014 Rumble. So, on our last episode, the Wyatts had gotten into the head of Daniel Bryan and managed to brainwash him to becoming a member of the Wyatt family. But happy families didn't last for long, and Bryan would turn on his new masters on an episode of Raw, leading to the culmination of their feud, kicking off the Royal Rumble. So we're jumping straight into our first match, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Royal Rumble match.
On this night, as 30 superstars face an unpredictable and career-defining moment,
It's every man for himself.
an animal returns.
Oh, my!
All for that rare opportunity at glory.
One will main event WrestleMania.
So, Royal Rumble 2014, the first match was Daniel Bryan versus Bray Wyatt. Big entrances for Daniel Bryan, huge pop. The whole arena's doing yes chants, very exciting, and they're super hot. And then cheer every bit of offense he gets in. Bryan starts really hot and targets the Wyatt family, really early with a suicide dive. Weirdly, Bryan attacking them gets them chucked out.
As I say, it's our favourite spot in all of wrestling.
Yeah,
The referee actually
The
decides
referee
to do something
ejecting
helpful.
people.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure what they did wrong.
Well, he probably shouldn't have been there.
Preventative,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I think that's good from the ref.
Good work from John Cone.
Yeah. Then Bray hits Bryan off the turnbuckle to slow things down a bit. Bryan starts targeting Bray's legs with kicks and throwing him into the steel steps. But Bray manages to turn the tide and throws Bryan to the outside. There's too many Brays and Bryans in this. Oh, good lord.
I mean, the story of this match is very much two wrestlers targeting different parts of the body, with kind of Bray going for the head and Bryan going for the leg, isn't it?
Yeah, because Bray targets head because Daniel Bryan is just back from concussion.
Cool. I'm sure that won't play a role later.
Terrible idea.
Yep. Bray hits a really cool, mean-looking shoulder tackle, and they sort of spill outside, which allows Bryan to hit Bray with a DDT. This makes Bray's mouth quite bloody.
Yeah, that did look nasty. That was a classic. Oh, there's blood. Quick, rewind, see where it happened. Try and find the spot where it happened. I didn't quite see it, but it was then.
Has he bladed his tongue?
You wouldn't put it past him, would you? I mean, this match is one of the most heavy-hitting matches I've seen, especially Bray Wyatt involved in. Not a lot of wrestling in this match, not a lot of holds. It is a lot of striking.
There isn't hardly any wrestle. I can't remember any, really, actually.
It's one of the best Bray Wyatt matches I've
ever
watched.
So I was going to say, this is the best Bray Wyatt match I've watched.
A lot of the talk and reviews from the time saying this was Bray's best match to this day, and yeah, I think probably post it. Like, it's a really good match.
Absolutely incredible.
You still haven't seen The Fiend versus Seth Rollins from Saudi Arabia.
Yeah,
so.
funny that. I think kind of the thing for me that makes this match more than anything is there's a point about 3/4 of the way through or so, and Daniel Bryan is in the corner. He's looking to land the knee. Bray Wyatt is in the other corner. He's absolutely out of it, and he just blasts it at Daniel Bryan. Hits possibly the biggest clothesline I've ever seen.
Yeah,
it's so big that JBL, the master of the clothesline, loses his shit. It's incredible.
Yeah, that looked great. I love that.
That moment kind of marks a turning point in this match as well, because from that point, Bray really gets on top. He hits Bryan with the sister Abigail. Actually, no, Bryan reverses that one, but then they start trading headbutts on the turnbuckle. Did you see that bit? That bit was really cool. I love a good headbutt thing spot in wrestling.
And it's hard to make headbutts look good in wrestling,
it is.
isn't it? Because you'll know, like we'll all know, growing up, when you actually like headbutt a mate in a play fight, you try and do it lightly, and it fucking kills, but it looks shit.
Yep.
So I don't really know how you can do that, and obviously they do a lot of headbutting the fist and stuff like that.
When I was younger in school and used to get into fights, my go-to move was the headbutt.
It's your go-to.
My
Actual
go-to,
headbutt?
my actual move, the first
Like
one.
people in the face.
Yeah, so like if we were on like football pitch and we were getting into like argument, it was getting a little bit hot and heavy and all of that. It sounds like I'm about to make love with them. It's still getting a little bit fiery. Still not good. Kind of like getting up in each other's grill. Because I was quite short, I had good kind of chin to forehead relation.
Yeah.
And I grew up in the school of,
hard knocks.
Hit first, hit last, So
wow.
Yeah, my go-to was the headbutt.
You're hard as
nails. I was known for it.
And when I say hard as nails, I don't mean the wrestler, Big Boss Man at SummerSlam '92.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. Go-to move was the headbutt. Please, sorry, John, continue.
So they were on the turnbuckle. Bryan goes for a suicide dive, but Bray catches him on the outside and hits Sister Abigail into the barricade, which looks nasty.
Looks so good. I mean, Daniel Bryan's suicide dives. They put the suicide into the dive.
Yeah, a lot of the times when you see a suicide dive, it looks a bit weak, I find. But Bryan's ones always look great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now you got people like Darby Allin ruining it for everyone.
Yeah. Did you fucking see that spot with Jeff Hardy?
Yes.
Fuck me.
That match was just bonkers.
I haven't even watched the match yet. I just saw the clip and was like, I don't know if I can watch the match. It's too much.
Amazing.
Oh, anyway, Bray rolls Bryan back into the ring, hits another Sister Abigail. 1, 2, 3. Bryan loses the blow off to the feud.
Now, did you speed through this match just because you didn't like saying the word Sister Abigail?
Sister Abigail, too many Bryans and Brays. There's a lot going on.
There's a lot to cover in this episode. This match is a banger.
What
a
really
match.
I was surprised by how good it was, but I was also delighted to scroll through this Royal Rumble. I didn't watch any other matches, but I noticed that this was just after Mae Young died, so they had a little Mae Young tribute.
Mm-hmm.
And also in the actual Royal Rumble, which I know we will get to, Rusev made his debut. Yeah. But sorry, the match.
Great match.
Easily the best Bray Wyatt match I've ever seen. And it just makes me wonder, how did they mess Bray Wyatt up? How did they get this wrong?
Yeah, he was so cool in general. I was just thinking, like, all the stuff he was doing must have felt really fresh then, like the rocking chair and the lantern.
It makes me...
as a slight counterpoint, as someone that's watched a lot of Raws and SmackDown from this period, like, the Wyatt family are just the creatives get out of jail free card. They interfere and interrupt so many matches. And it never pays off. I can't remember them, except for this feud, weirdly. I can't remember them ever really winning a feud.
Don't they go on to beat the Shield in a feud, like, directly after this?
Apparently, I haven't watched it, but yeah, on the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view we're going to talk about in a bit, they have an absolute banger against the Shield.
Ultimately, it's quite hard to get invested in the Wyatt family because it's almost like Bray is playing chess whilst everyone else is playing checkers. Like, he's got all these crazy ideas and this higher storytelling power and narrative that he's got going on in his head. And it seems really cool because, especially with hindsight, a lot of what he was saying to Daniel Bryan kind of actually ties into the larger narrative of Daniel Bryan's story. But the problem is kind of like, it's a little bit too much fartsy, too much artsy, not enough fartsy. It's just kind of like, it's too deep a meaning, and it's just like, you know what, mate, we just want to see people fight. And I think kind of that's probably where it went wrong with The Fiend as well.
How do you think we would have reacted to the result of this match if we were doing this podcast at the time?
Oh, we wouldn't have been happy, would we? But I like to think we would have appreciated the match for what it was, but obviously we would have had no idea what was coming.
I maybe disagree, actually, because I feel like at this point in time I'm invested in the Wyatt family, and them I mean, don't get me wrong.
Are you more invested in Daniel Bryan?
I love Daniel Bryan, but also kind of like I think Daniel Bryan is going to be successful. It's so difficult with hindsight, but like,
yeah,
I think the Wyatt family were credible at this point, and so kind of him losing the feud to a heel is like, okay, fine. Do you know what? You guys have built a monster heel here. But
I've been thinking about this a lot about why put Bray over, and the only reason I can think is that Bryan can take the loss and doesn't affect him whatsoever. Maybe Bray can't, but I think story-wise, it makes no sense for Bray to win this.
So, I mean, this is the big thing about this entire feud of Daniel Bryan versus The Authority is how much of this feud is WWE stumbling into it by basically just booking whatever decision they kind of feel like is sort of works, and it's just like, oh no, this all plays into the narrative of Daniel Bryan as being treated like shit.
I think this feud is completely luck and
just
happenstance up until after the Rumble, where I think actually they actually know their shit and they actually do a really good job.
So
of it.
I think there's a very specific point that we're going to chat about where I think kind of it pivots, but yeah, I mean overall this is just a banger of a match, and it does fill you with hope for both wrestlers that they're going to be huge in WWE.
Yeah, so just to move on, but so despite the fact it was a banger of the match, like fans were a little stunned at Bryan taking a loss here, and it was kind of were very quiet. But I think there was hope, and certainly the rumours around the time were that Bryan would be appearing in the Royal Rumble, which was later in the show.
I remember watching it live and thinking that exact thing.
And the great thing about this is that John informed us to watch the last 5 entrants of this Royal Rumble. So I watched that thinking, oh cool, well Bryan's going to be one of the entrants. So I kind of had the same experience as the
before we talk Rumble,
as the crowd.
There's one other match we need to talk about on this card, which you didn't have to watch, luckily. Okay. But in a feud that refused to end, Randy Orton would defend his heavyweight championship against John Cena yet again. And the crowd were not into this match at all, and it featured Yes chants and Daniel Bryan chants throughout.
Wow.
He tries to go on the offense, even against the steps.
The stairs said out.
Orton again, cover on Cena, hook of the leg, kick out at 2.
Look at these two guys. We've known them all since they started. They've never been in better shape, have they? Look at incredible shape these guys are in. They're absolutely at the peak of their career.
And this, during the match, obviously really annoys Randy. Like, he is obviously quite irate during it. The match wouldn't even finish clean as well, with the Wyatts interfering, allowing Randy to pick up the win, retaining his title. So, at the moment, it's looking like the main event will feature Randy Orton.
Wait. So this was Orton versus Cena. The Wyatts interfered, presumably on Randy's behalf, took out Cena.
I don't know. They sort of... I don't even show where this feud goes, because obviously the Wyatts move into a program with the Shield.
Right, yeah, and then they go back to a program with Cena, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Kind of creatively, they are just basically playing that Joker card every time they don't want to kind of...
Yep. Don't want anyone to lose or have like the negativity of a screwy finish, so they just whack the Wyatts in there.
That's mad. That's so mad. Anyway,
so the main event of Mania at the moment features Randy Orton. All eyes were on the Royal Rumble to see who his next opponent would be. So the Rumble match.
Yeah.
Did anyone watch the whole thing?
Yes.
Yeah, no. I did as well.
Did you?
Yeah.
So you got to see Rusev make his debut.
I really liked Royal Rumble 2014.
It got... Actually, we'll talk about reception afterwards, actually. I didn't love it, but I know I'm not a great lover of Rumbles. I know it's weird.
Get out. Just go, weird. John. That's...
Some of the legends that appeared. Kevin Nash. Always great to see.
Big Sexy.
Who else? Great Khali.
Goldust.
Goldust was in there. Great Khali was only in it for 24 seconds.
Damien Sandow, the legend that is.
Yeah.
Do you know who gets a huge pop at this Royal Rumble, actually? Way bigger than I remember. Dolph Ziggler.
Really?
The crowd go nuts when he comes out.
Popular guy.
Mad.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember, because this is about the time, actually, that I started watching again. As in, we did talk about it a lot when we worked together, but I didn't really watch much. And then I remember when I was working on Guitar Hero, there was a guy behind me who liked wrestling, and he was watching pay-per-views whilst he was working, and then I got into it. I think I borrowed his login, Yeah, but then Royal Rumble's obviously in January, isn't it? Because I missed all this Daniel Bryan stuff. I can't believe my timing.
This was just before the WWE Network launched.
Right. In that case, it must have been later that year then that I started watching, because I definitely started watching using the network.
Anyway, so the final 5 entrants were number 25, Eric Rowan. 26 was Ryback. 27, Alberto Del Rio. Number 28 was a recently returned Batista. Then 29 was Big E.
A greased up Big E.
Yeah, young. And then
Very
number
shiny.
30, with everyone expecting this to be Daniel Bryan, it turns out to be Rey Mysterio, who gets booed for the first time in his career.
Insane, because it's like,
so sad.
if you think about, like, just generally everyone can agree that this person is likable.
Yeah.
Rey
The legend.
Mysterio is kind of one of those guys.
Yeah. It was mad, because I was watching it again thinking, is he a heel? Has he done something bad? Like, I understand them booing, but they're really booing. Like, every time he does anything,
the confusion on Rey Mysterio's face as he's running to the ring.
Yeah. It's amazing how much like the crowd's love for Daniel Bryan, how much it sort of fucking screws over everybody else. All these other wrestlers just trying to do their job. Randy Orton, everybody just being like, for fuck's sake,
It's
this little
funny,
hairy
though,
gnome.
Because, all right, JBL.
I know he's doing, yeah.
The funny thing is that kind of Rey Mysterio in his prime was like, his biggest feuds were with JBL and Batista, and they worked together really well. So I think kind of the thinking behind this was that kind of having Rey Mysterio and Batista in the ring same time would be kind of quite a major impact, and it just absolutely falls flat on its face. The crowd are fuming.
Yeah.
I would
Really,
actually
really
say
angry.
this is the start of people being angry at Royal Rumble finishes, because it happens a few times again since then.
It does. So the final 4, so when Batista comes in, he eliminates Rowan, Ryback and Del Rio. Seth eliminates Rey Mysterio, sadly. Ambrose tries to eliminate Reigns, who's already in there, but fails, so Reigns eliminates Ambrose, Rollins and Cesaro. So during this Rumble, Reigns eliminates, I think it's 12 people. He breaks Kane's record.
Yeah, he does.
Reigns. I mean, Reigns is peak Dreamboat Reigns here, because he hasn't put on all the bulk. Yeah, he hasn't had his teeth fully whitened. He hasn't got, there's just something, he just is mad. He's mad. He looks like a little
do
pin-up.
not recognise, like, if you were to show me Dean Ambrose and John Moxley in a lineup,
Different
I wouldn't
people,
think they're the same person.
So much more broader these days, isn't he?
It's mad. Yeah. It is like kind of John Moxley is just Dean Ambrose's older brother.
So the final 4 is Sheamus, who's also recently back from injury, CM Punk, who came in as number 1 entrant, Roman Reigns and Batista. Kane, who was also in the Rumble but was eliminated, comes back and eliminates Punk, seemingly setting up a feud with the Authority moving forward.
Was this CM Punk's last involvement in WWE?
This was the last time CM Punk would appear on WWE TV.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Second to last time you'd hear his music.
Batista eliminates Sheamus, leaving Batista and Roman to fight it out, and Batista would eliminate Roman to win the Rumble to a chorus of boos and no chance.
It's actually, Kane eliminating CM Punk is one of the most important parts of this versus the Authority story, because, like, obviously whilst it is focused on Daniel Bryan taking on the Authority, CM Punk is a victim very much of the Authority attacking the indie darling, so to speak, and it's a sad ending. That's the end of CM Punk for 7 years. That's wild.
Yeah, so the negative reaction to the Rumble was the kind of main story coming out of it afterwards. Yeah. With several news outlets describing it as the live audience actually trying to take over the last 2 hours of the show, and it was kind of described as a PR nightmare for WWE. Interestingly, like, the wrestling sites they actually reviewed Rumble quite favourably, giving it sort of like 3.5, like 4 stars. But the negative press was coming from the non-wrestling media, like stories on the BBC, and sort of the non-wrestling media sort of saw this as like a really bad sign for WWE, that their fans were so irate at them.
Interesting.
This is what I love about wrestling, though, where when it starts to get so big, it permeates outside of the wrestling sphere of things, and it's just like crowd fuming at blah blah blah, and it's like, this is good. This is real good. And even though WWE have totally stumbled into it, there's a big story to be told with this.
Yeah. So, after the Rumble, it's looking like the main event of Mania will be Orton defending his title against a babyface Batista. WWE fans have always had a bit of a weird relationship with Batista and have never really bought into the character, especially as a babyface. Sam disagrees.
Yeah, I disagree. But, I mean, I think kind of Batista had his moments in 2005. That's what I would say. Like, kind of maybe not 2012. Like, Batista at this point is kind of like Hollywood Batista. Like,
yeah, I couldn't quite. It's pre-Guardians though. This, isn't it?
I think it might. I don't know if it was pre-Guardians, but even if it's not, like, this is very much Batista is now an actor first and a wrestler second.
Guardians of the Galaxy came out in 2014, July.
So yeah, it's pre. But like at the same time, he would have been famously filming and kind of involved in that. Also, kind of like wrestling in Hollywood obviously has a very estranged relationship with like The Rock basically going off to Hollywood and becoming eventually the biggest actor in the world. But like a lot of people kind of saw that as a portrayal of wrestling, and so kind of after that, wrestlers kind of going off to become actors sort of would always leave a little bit of a bad taste in the mouth of fans when they kind of come back to wrestling for like a token gesture.
Yeah, maybe that was it, because he came back a few weeks before the Rumble to meh reaction.
I remember that's exactly how I felt at the time, because I was just like, I don't care about Batista being back. He's just doing this as a favour for Triple H. It's a part-timer, you know?
Yeah, I've always liked Batista. I don't think he works as a babyface, but I think he's great. Great spine buster.
Carries himself with really good character and personality. Like, I think he's difficult to like as a wrestler because I think he is quite bland, but, like, you know...
He'd been in Riddick in 2013. Do you remember that film?
For Vin Diesel?
Yeah.
I think I saw that one.
And then... Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy 2014. But apparently he was in The Scorpion King 3, Battle for Redemption in 2012.
It's the best one.
Straight to video.
Funny that. Was The Rock in that one?
No. Very much doubt it.
Weirdly, so currently on Mania there's no place for Daniel Bryan. The rumours at the time was that they'd be setting up a feud with recently returned Sheamus. But as Sam said, like, everything changes 24 hours after the Rumble when CM Punk would walk out on WWE never to return, which throws Mania plans into disarray. So there was one pay-per-view before Mania, which is Elimination Chamber, and WWE Creative have to solve the problems of who would Triple H be facing and what to do with a babyface Batista that is getting booed to shit.
Can I ask the biggest question here, which is, how does Cesaro end up in the Elimination Chamber?
I don't know. I didn't watch his...
He seems out of place here.
So does Christian, though, right?
Well, yeah. Well, Christian at least has been like a world champion before.
It was quite funny watching so much of Sheamus and Cesaro in this. Just remembering how involved they... because did they have that run of...
7 matches.
Yeah. And then they became the Bar.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which I was a fan of.
Yeah, me too. I thought that those 7 matches
they got
were
over
good.
eventually. Yeah.
They had great T-shirts.
We will talk about that a bit more when we get to Elimination. We've got the build to Elimination Chamber to get through yet, guys.
Okay, tell us, John. Come on, tell us.
So, on the Raw after Rumble, Steph and Triple H kick off the show with a promo to a chorus of yes chants. Daniel Bryan interrupts and confronts them about not being in the Royal Rumble. Their excuse was that they didn't want to put him at risk of injury by making him work twice on the pay-per-view. As mentioned earlier, this could actually be a legitimate reason, as he was dealing with a concussion at the time. But Bryan wants to be added to the Elimination Chamber match for the Heavyweight Championship. He believes he's earned it and deserves the chance at the title. Bryan even suggests that he should have a match with Triple H to determine whether he should be added to the Chamber match. But just at this moment, the Shield come out and beat up Bryan. Only for Sheamus to come in and make the save. And John Cena also turns up for some reason. And this sets up a 6-man elimination tag match, which will also be a qualifying match for the Elimination Chamber. So the winning team, so it's the Shield versus Daniel Bryan, Sheamus, and John Cena, with the winning team being added to the title match.
It's a 2014 classic, isn't it? 6-man tag.
6-man tag. Can you guess what would happen during this match?
Wyatt family turn up.
Wyatt family would interfere, leading to the Shield getting disqualified, meaning Cena, Sheamus, and Daniel Bryan would be in the chamber against Orton and 2 other opponents for the heavyweight championship.
Did the New Day just miss the boat with this? Because imagine if Xavier would have been in WWE a little bit sooner, and you would have had the Shield, the New Day, and Wyatt family running around at the same time.
It's so great. Well, no, actually, it isn't great. I wish that we do these episodes in real time, because we get the list of matches and I just watch things and then I'm like, well, I've got no idea how they got to this, but yeah, I'll watch it. And then you're filling in all the gaps. But there's no other way of doing it unless we did a live watch along, which obviously we're not going to do.
Maybe on
or
Twitch,
you need to write all of your notes weeks in advance and send me everything.
Yeah, I have thought about that, but yeah, maybe
then you wouldn't get the live reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It makes a good podcasting.
Slight side point: the Raw after the Rumble, the WWE Network goes live for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
I signed up for a VPN to get it.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Dedication. I remember when we first started this, and I signed up for the New Japan World, and you have to do it through Google Translate. Like it was, so hard.
That was great. We had logins for everything. I had the Progress on Demand, Pivot Share. Sam had WWE. You had New Japan. Don't know what Brett brought to the table.
Brett used to do artwork and contribute to the podcast.
Do you remember when he used to draw each individual cover?
For every episode, he'd draw something new.
Brett used to be on the podcast. It was amazing.
Weekly podcast we were doing, wasn't it?
Listeners, if you don't remember, if you're not a long-term listener, we used to do a pod with a guy called Brett.
It was amazing. It was so much fun. And then the Wyatt family turned up and kidnapped him.
Yeah. Now he's in a cage. He was in that cage that Rowan brought to the stage a few years ago to the ring, but we never actually got the Brett reveal.
One day we're going to do a follow the feud on all of that.
Oh, I would love to do that.
I'd love it if Eric Rowan brings Brett to a Control the Narrative show. Did you fucking see the clip shared by Adam Scher, the Titan Adam Scher, formerly known as Braun Strowman? He was just like, it's so great taking control of your own destiny. And then he shared a clip of him wrestling in some sort of sports hall where they couldn't do a proper move from the top turnbuckle because they had all those like panels. You know, when you're in a cheap office and they have the panels in the roof. They were wrestling like that somewhere there. And I was like, how can he be happy? He's won the tag team championship with Nicholas at WrestleMania. And now look at him.
He's got so much money though. Like,
it is an absolute... Control Your Narrative is the midlife crisis of wrestling.
Absolute joke. Have you seen his hair as well? Sorry, I mean, he's supposed to be my guy, but he's got these...
He doesn't sound like your guy anymore, if I'm honest. He sounds like your ex-girlfriend.
Yeah. Since I followed him on Instagram and seen what a gun nut he is.
Such a gun nut. He'll be back in WWE.
I hope so.
Yeah, definitely.
I actually do hope so.
Anyway, back to this. So around this time, there was quite a lot of tension between Orton and the Authority. Orton would moan quite a lot to the Authority about putting him into matches, and the Authority were moaning about how Orton might not be the face of the company. So, to test Orton, the Authority set up a load of single matches for Orton against his Elimination Chamber opponents. These included a match against Daniel Bryan, which, despite some Kane interference, Bryan would win. But after the match, Orton and Kane would just beat down Bryan. Kane was heavily involved in the story during this time. He was kind of like the hand of the Authority and would interfere in matches and even have several matches against Daniel Bryan. One of these matches was the go home for Elimination Chamber, in which Kane would get DQ'd but then beat down on Bryan, targeting his shoulder, which is why he was all strapped up in the Elimination Chamber.
Such a shame when you think back to the early episodes of Follow the Feud with Team Hell No and anger management.
They were actually, to be fair, they weren't really close then, were they?
So Corporate Kane is your favourite Kane.
I love Corporate Kane, especially when he takes his shirt off. Oh my god, it's great.
What the fuck?
I love Corporate Kane when he was involved with Seth Rollins.
Oh yeah, like J&J Security, exactly. All that stuff.
Bit of J&J's house American tour.
I still think that's the best Seth Rollins. I love that.
I think current Seth Rollins is pretty good though.
Oh yeah, he's really good. I watched his match at Backlash today along with the main event, and the Cody match was really good.
Nice.
Wow, good for you. You're so invested in WWE at the moment, John. All this research, watching Backlash.
Well, because it's only like a 2.5 hour show, and I wasn't going to watch all of it. I didn't have to take notes. I just wanted to watch those two matches. It was nice.
I haven't watched any wrestling matches since the last pay-per-view we did. That's bad, isn't it? Apart from, obviously, these. Sorry, I did watch these. But before the weekend, I hadn't watched anything for weeks.
It's easy to get out of the swing of things, isn't it? It's quite hard to get back into it.
It is. Luckily, I know fucking loads, so I can still contribute to this.
Yeah, it's like a encyclopedia of knowledge.
Yeah.
You're a spring champion. You know,
exactly. I won the quiz. Exactly.
Let's move on.
I've still got it.
So, despite Orton being the champ at this time, he spent most of his time on Raw losing matches. So he lost to Daniel Bryan, John Cena several times, and even Cesaro, which is maybe how Cesaro got added to the Elimination Chamber match.
Okay.
So, we're at Elimination Chamber.
Elimination Chamber.
Only one will leave champion of champions.
I do this for the
Desperation equals dangerous. I'm desperate.
This is my champion.
At
What cost?
the face of WWE.
Tonight, for 6 superstars, their journey continues as the road to WrestleMania runs through the Elimination Chamber.
So, I've got this match is long, and I've got loads of notes. So jump in if you have anything to
how
add.
much? Should we just skip the opening stuff between Sheamus and Cesaro?
Well, I wanted to highlight how good those two are against each other and with each other. They have such good chemistry and work so well together.
I say, like, for as much of a story about how Daniel Bryan is the underrated underdog of WWE and should have been given a lot more kind of opportunity and push,
yeah.
Cesaro is the true underappreciated monster of WWE who I think they are going to really regret letting him go.
Just no personality at all, though. That's the thing.
I
Don't you
think.
I think he's so cool.
I think he's got loads of personality.
Really?
Do you not remember the suit he used to take off?
But his promos have never been any good.
I never really
I
prioritize that sort of skill set though. I personally don't even like watching good promos.
What?
Yeah,
I mean, what?
I don't really like promos. Just gotta put that out there.
Wait, what?
Well, even MJF.
Okay, maybe.
We've been
Okay,
doing
maybe
Jericho.
Okay, really good promos. are
CM
great.
Punk.
CM
Yeah,
Punk.
okay, that's.
We've
But
been
even
doing
then, they're
this
too
podcast for
long.
6
Even
years.
then,
You don't like promos?
I'm skipping forward bits. I'm
I
like,
can't
this is too
believe
long.
this.
I don't like promos.
Wow.
Adam, do we need to have like a sidebar about kicking John off the pod?
I think we'll get the final Full of the Feud episode out of the way, and then, yeah, we're done with John. It's a 2-man pod from then on.
Doesn't like promos. Doesn't like 50% of wrestling.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Just for 50%. Just promos.
If you're talking about Raw, then you're going to say 75% of wrestling.
Yeah, fair.
Oh, dear.
Anyway, so yeah, things are started off by Cesaro and Sheamus. Bryan comes in as the third person.
I was relieved about that, because I was like, John's making us watch this match. If he comes out last, I'm going to be annoyed. But he came out third. Well, he was the first to come out of a pod.
Yes,
4
he
pods.
was.
He was
4
the
pods.
first to be released.
And him and Cesaro have some nice bits where Cesaro hits a tilt-a-wheel backbreaker. That's cool. And Cesaro does a reverse Irish whip and sends Bryan through the pod glass or plastic.
That was
Pod
good.
plastic, which
Look,
they
it looked
always
good.
make out to sound like the most painful thing on the planet, and I'm just like, man, I think I could take that and it wouldn't hurt.
Okay.
Christian
I'll
is
bear that in mind.
Christian is next out. Someone that only Brett really cares about.
Yeah, I was going to say, still, this match didn't turn me into a fan of Christian.
I just
Me
don't
either.
get it.
We continue the hunt for a good Christian match.
Cesaro powerbombs Christian though into the pod glass that leads to a cool near fall.
That was pretty good, actually.
Yeah. Then Cena joins the action.
So I think this match is... The whole thing is actually pretty by the numbers Elimination Chamber. There's maybe one point that I love, which is Cesaro chucks Cena basically into space.
Yes,
And
me
then
too.
smashes him with a European uppercut.
That's the only note I made.
I would also
uppercut
say
thing.
Christian actually does a very cool splash from on top of the pod.
Oh, that's when he eliminates Sheamus, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
That
cool.
is actually pretty good.
That's a good moment. Okay, so then Cena comes out. He does some stuff, gets hit with a Hurricanrana from Bryan. Christian hits a kill switch on Bryan, but Bryan kicks out. Orton is the last one to enter the match, but he quickly gets surrounded by his opponent, so he runs back in and hides in the pod, the classic heel move.
Classic.
But Sheamus is having none of this, and Bro kicks the pod into pieces, which leads to Cena hitting Orton with a 5-knuckle shuffle, only for Cesaro to toss Cena up and do the swings. And start swinging Orton, actually.
Yeah. 30 revolutions?
Yeah.
There or thereabouts, with the camera going in and out the whole time.
Yes.
Really annoying.
It must be
as well.
hard to do that. Then we have the Christian frog splash. Looks very cool. He goes a long way with that frog splash.
Yeah.
And that's Sheamus, and that's the first elimination of the whole match. We get to a good 15 minutes until we get an elimination. It's a long time.
It is a long match, this one, especially without any kind of elimination.
But Christian can't celebrate long because Bryan hits him with a running knee for the second elimination, so Christian's out. Bryan and Cena square off against each other, and as Cena has Bryan up for a AA, Cesaro comes in and German suplex them both at the same time.
Hell yeah. This is why Cesaro comes across so good in this match. All of the good spots involve him.
It does. He has a really good showing in this match, but it doesn't last long for Cesaro because Cena gets him in the STF for the third elimination.
Yeah.
And then, can you guess what happens next?
Duh.
Yep. The Wyatt family interfere, and they target John Cena.
That was a good. By the way, Sam, that was a really good sound effect.
It was good sound
I was
effect.
looking at the running order, and I thought Bray Wyatt was about to appear in my office. I had no idea what that sound was. It's like, what the fuck? Yeah.
So while the Wyatts are targeting Cena, this gives Orton the advantage. He pins Cena for the fourth elimination.
When the Wyatts do turn up, I do love the fact that both Daniel Bryan and Cena go after them. It's unclear who they're targeting because they interfere in so many matches at this point that everyone's just like, yeah, fuck him, go for them.
Yeah, that's cool, actually.
So this leaves the final two of Orton and Bryan. Kane comes out and tosses the Wyatt family out, but Bryan attacks Kane because of the load of beef they've got recently. Orton takes advantage and puts Bryan through a pod again. I think Bryan goes through every pod in this match at some point. Bryan comes back with some kicks, but Orton hits a DDT. Orton then goes for an RKO, but Bryan dodges it and hits Orton with a running knee. Just as the ref is about to count 3, Kane pulls the ref out of the ring. Bryan then attacks Kane again, which allows Orton to hit the RKO. Only a 2 count though. Someone actually kicks out an RKO. Huge pop from the crowd here.
Just for the listeners, John has actually written Hugh Pop, H-U-G-H, Pop in the running order.
Oh, damn.
I thought maybe that was the referee.
Oh, damn.
Hugh Pop.
Hugh Pop would be a really good wrestling name.
Anyway, after the kick out, Kane would come in for a cheap shot, which gives Orton his opening for a second RKO. This time it's enough for the 3 count. And Orton retains the title heading into WrestleMania.
Unbelievable bullshit ending.
I thought you were going to say Unbelievable Jeff then.
Unbelievable, Jeff. Can't believe it. Kane has turned up and he's taken him out.
2 lots of separate interference in this match. First from the Wyatts and from Kane. Seems a bit heavy-handed on the booking. I think it's quite an enjoyable chamber match, though.
Yeah, I think the match is good up until the end, and it's just like the booking choice is awful.
Yeah.
And I think WWE really luck out with how the Bryan story ends up panning out, because I still don't think at this point in time they are committed to Daniel Bryan being the main winner of WrestleMania.
No. I think you're probably right. I think they're probably talking about it, but I think one thing that sways their hand is also on the Elimination Chamber card. Batista took on Alberto Del Rio in what WWE hoped would get Batista over as a babyface by having him face one of the biggest heels in the company, Alberto.
Say, if you can't get over as a face against Alberto Del Rio, you can't get over as a face.
Alberto also brought his A-star heel game. He came out in a neck brace and crutches, and not even in wrestling gear.
The thing is, Alberto Del Rio is a piece of shit in real life. So.
Yeah, oh my god, such a great heel, isn't he? You just want to hate him. But he attacks Batista with his back turned. But even that wasn't enough to get Batista over with the crowd, and the crowd actually start cheering for Del Rio.
Wow.
Batista will pick up the win, but get a load of boos for his troubles.
And this is where I think the pivot happens.
I agree, yeah.
Because there is a promo. Do you actually have a clip for this, by the way, or?
No, actually, different promo I got. Sorry, I don't have that one.
That's so good. So I was just going to say, there's a clip on the Raw after this of Batista. He's going up against Bryan in the main event of Raw, the episode after this. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Batista starts acting like a heel. Like,
yes.
Really out of nowhere.
He has a bit of a shady interview a couple of episodes of Raw later. Just before, maybe the Raw before Occupy?
I think so. It's really strange because it's like they're booking Batista as the face to kind of take down Orton without the two of them actually meeting. And then just all of a sudden it's like Batista cuts a promo about how Daniel Bryan's some weird little gnome man and it's not reality having him win the title. It's mad. Like a real 180 swerve from where they were at.
Yeah, I mean, Bryan confronts Triple H in the car park and it's like screaming at Triple H, like, what is his problem with him? Every time he gets close to the title, he screws him over. Ever since that moment at SummerSlam where Triple H is the ref and turns on him. Bryan has an opportunity for some revenge with another match against Kane, which Bryan wins with a running knee. And after the match, he calls out Triple H for being a coward because he refused to face Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania.
Ever since Triple H put on that suit, he's ignored what each and every one of you want. He doesn't care what you people want. Well, you people make your voice heard. Are you listening? Are you listening? Are you listening? We are in Green Bay, Wisconsin, an entire arena of people chanting yes.
Meanwhile, as Dan was saying, we start to see like WWE realizing that having Batista as a babyface just isn't going to work. So they have him sling some shade back in a backstage interview towards Daniel Bryan.
Batista focusing on the here and now. I want to get your thoughts on facing Daniel Bryan and his yes movement tonight on Monday Night Raw.
I think the yes movement is possibly the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. I think it's amazing who's passing for a WWE superstar these days. You got all these fans that are reading too many comics, watching too many movies, and they think just your average guy like Daniel Bryan could just miraculously turn into a superhero. It's fantasy. It's not real. Guys like Daniel Bryan will never be guys like me.
So all throughout this period, Bryan's whole motivation is just to try and get that match with Triple H. So he keeps trying to get this match, but Triple H just refuses. So Daniel Bryan gets to the ring and refuses to leave until Triple H gives him that match. So Triple H and Steph come out to loads of boos and CM Punk chants. This is where, obviously, CM Punk's just left, so this is where the CM Punk chants really kick it into gear.
This promo is incredible.
Yeah, so Bryan challenges Triple H again, but again he refuses and gets some proper nuclear heat for saying no.
And I am stronger than ever. So what do you say, Triple H? You and me, WrestleMania 30.
Well, that's not going to happen. What is it with your generation, Daniel? Huh? What is it? Why can't you just accept your failure? Why can't you just accept your inadequacies?
The reaction to Stephanie and Triple H, I mean, both of them play their parts masterfully here. Like, obviously Triple H is fantastic on the mic and in the ring and kind of is a legend for very good reason, but Stephanie McMahon just knows the perfect thing to say at the right time to really rile up the crowd, and she goes full Vince McMahon with the "I own this ring, I own all of you." Oh, it's so hateful. I love it.
I think Steph is underrated as a promo. She's
100%.
so good.
I genuinely think she is incredibly underrated as a promo giver.
And I think this is some of Triple H's best work as well. Like this run up to WrestleMania after the Rumble with him, he's so good on the mic. And it just comes across smarmy and, it's perfect.
Stephanie and Triple H as a power couple is one of the most hateful, just kind of heel duos that you can possibly see. They are so relatably annoying because they're kind of representative of the rich upper class telling you what they think is right. And it's like, this is 2014. We're now in 2022, and it's still, you hear stories of like basically incredibly wealthy people saying what they think is what everyone else wants, and just the normal average person being like, would you fuck off? And so this just absolutely encapsulates that perfectly, in my opinion.
Yeah. Hills you love to hate.
I wish I could. I haven't actually seen this bit, so I'm looking forward to hearing the clip when I listen to the pod back.
Yeah, it's cool. But anyway, Sam was saying, Bryan would face Batista in the main event of Raw. Orton would end up interfering, only for Bryan to knock Orton, Batista and Kane off their feet. Bryan would get speared by Batista, which allowed Triple H to come in and start talking trash in Bryan's face while he was down on the mats. But Bryan would knock him down with a kick to the head. This only made Triple H more angry, and he pedigreed Bryan. And this episode of Raw ends with Bryan out cold in the ring with Steph, Kane and Triple H just standing over him. It's a really cool shot.
It's so good. And Stephanie again is doing the yes chant as well.
Yeah, she's doing yes chants. Such a heel.
Yeah.
So obviously crowd do not like that very much, and all this anger spills over into the next week's episode of Raw in what would become one of the most iconic segments of the era, which was Occupy Raw, which was on our watch list.
Yeah, enjoyed watching this. Partly because I didn't know what to expect. But then I remembered I actually had seen some images, I think, some screen grabs from the time. But I just wondered logistically how they were going to do it. Whether or not that the people that Bryan invites down, that you're going to explain about shortly, but whether or not they were actually the crowd. But then I realised that would actually be far too dangerous just to encourage the crowd to come and join him in the ring. But I'll let you set it up, John.
Yeah, so Bryan comes out to the ring and he says he's going to make it so Triple H has to listen to them. The Yes Movement is going to occupy Raw, and he's not going to leave the ring until he gets his match at Mania. But he's not going to do it alone. He's going to do it with the Yes Movement. And then fans with Daniel Bryan t-shirts start getting in the ring.
I think somehow WWE managed to hire a bunch of extras, none of which would go on to become future wrestlers.
I think these were fans they got.
Yeah.
I think they must have been fans because there's no...
I'll tell you why that I know that they were fans. Well, one, because they didn't look like actors, because there's one woman who had a handbag over her shoulder, and I think they basically approached some fans beforehand and been like, are you up for this? And they're like, yeah, okay, here's a t-shirt. But the Everton guy was there.
Yes. Kyle, the Everton
from
man.
NXT, Everton man.
Yes, I was going to say,
that fucking annoying guy with his
him.
big red face. I can't believe he had that moment to be as part of that. That's amazing.
It's
I've got
funny,
a whole
actually,
new respect for him.
One of the guys who was in the ring was right next to Daniel Bryan, was recording him on his phone. And
had his phone out.
Has that footage ever been released?
I know.
Can you imagine how shitty that footage would be?
I'm into it. I love it.
Yeah.
2014.
Not too bad. Phones weren't too bad then, actually, 2014.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
iPhone 4S.
Yeah. I reckon how many megapixels are we talking?
Oh, we're not talking about this. Anyway, it cuts to commercial break, and when it comes back, the whole ring area is full of Daniel Bryan fans doing yes chants. And what amazed me is, obviously, we have a bit of in-ring experience ourselves, Adam. They're not as stable when a lot of people get in them, and like that whole ring was filled with people, and the outside area.
We're talking about a ring at WWE Raw compared to a ring at Riptide Wrestling in a community centre in Brighton. I think the quality's a bit different. Yeah. But it was amazing how many people they did have in and around, as Andy Townsend would say, the ring. There were
in and around the box.
A lot of people there, and I hope they all got to keep the T-shirt. I hope they like WWE at the end, like funneled them out, like T-shirt off. We'll have that back, please.
Oh, sure, you keep the T-shirt.
No, you've got to keep it.
Well,
it's actually one
WWE
of
we're
the
talking about here.
very, very few bugbears I have with this is that when Daniel Bryan's up on that turnbuckle wearing his T-shirt, you can still see at the very bottom, like there's kind of like a WWE wear kind of tag on it. It just breaks the illusion of kind of the anti-corporate.
I would love one of those Bryan T-shirts, those old school ones.
I had one.
Did you? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Actually, I might look on eBay right now.
I wore it too much and it got a bit too smelly and it had to go in the bin. Yeah.
Anyway, Triple H and Steph come out, and as you can imagine, they're not too happy. They try and get security to remove them, but security are having no part of it. Just two security guards.
Two big bald dudes.
That was funny.
And then Damien Sandow comes out.
Whatever happened to Sandow?
He went to Impact, is he? He might still be there.
No, he's not wrestling, is he?
£10 you can get one of those T-shirts in medium for £10.
It's not bad, that.
On eBay. Oh, well.
Anyway, so Sandow can't make the move. Eventually, Triple H accepts Daniel Bryan's challenge.
Go ahead, Hunter. Give us what we want, and we'll give you your show back. It's as simple as that. You guys like to lay out ultimatums. I'm laying out an ultimatum too. You don't get your show back until we get what we want.
What could Hunter do? What else can he do?
It's criminal. I don't know.
You want to know what the truth is, Daniel? Truth is, I actually like you. I actually saw something in you. So you know what? I took it upon myself to try to protect you. To protect you from everything that would happen when you were successful. You would be run out of here. So I tried to protect you. I protected you at SummerSlam. I protected you ever since then. And what happens? This happens. You want to know why I didn't fight you at WrestleMania? For your own good, Daniel. Because I will end all of this. Because at WrestleMania, I will not stop until I end you. That's the way I operate. And that's the way it's going to be. You want to fight me at WrestleMania?
Oh, boy.
Then be careful what you wish for. You're on.
Oh, man! It's going to happen! Daniel Bryan got what he wanted!
Now, shut up and get the hell out of my ring.
In what I think is some of like Triple H's best like acting work, the way he builds it. Like he starts off quite low and it just steadily builds and builds, and his anger and hatred just builds. And
everyone
builds and builds.
here just plays their part incredibly.
And this is coming from a man who hates promos. So
I hate promos, guys, but this won me over. Like so good.
I love how at first Triple H is angry, then Stephanie gets angry, then Triple H gets angrier, then Stephanie absolutely loses her rag.
Yeah.
Like completely and utterly breaks. And to have Daniel Bryan just stood there laughing at her, the power dynamics of this whole interaction are just incredible. I love it.
Yeah.
It's not quite over yet, though, as Bryan adds a bit of extra sauce onto the match by demanding that if he wins their match, he'll be added to the main event.
And again, I didn't know. I was like, but hold on a minute. Triple H doesn't have the belt, and I'm pretty sure he wins the belt at WrestleMania. So how is this gonna work? Why does he want this match? And then it all unfolds in front of me.
So this is the first time you've watched it, Adam. What did you think?
What?
Just generally the promo and the way it all kind of goes backwards and forwards.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I remember when we started watching wrestling again, having the authority and them getting a fair bit of stick, and I remember it going a bit sour and people being like they're on the TV too much, especially when Shane comes back and stuff like that, and there's just too much of them on TV, especially fucking hell, what's her name?
Stephanie?
Especially Stephanie, because I remember her getting a bit annoying. But when I first started watching all this again, I really liked it, and I thought they were great, and I thought they did a great job. I started watching after this, And so obviously they were doing an even more incredible job at this time. I thought the Occupy stuff was really great. I thought I just upset I didn't watch it at the time, because you could just see how and why the fans fell in love with this guy.
I mean, the funny thing is that, like, kind of, you would say that the Authority storyline should have ended after the Daniel Bryan feud. So for it to have gone on for as long as it did after this whole feud with kind of the Seth Rollins stuff was a bit of a weird move.
But we were saying how much we enjoyed that.
I mean, I enjoyed it, but like, I think kind of there was a point where it almost didn't need Triple H and Stephanie involved in it. Because a lot of the Seth Rollins feud is kind of predicated along the fact that Seth Rollins is the new chosen one. He has betrayed the Shield. He's the architect, and he's got the pedigree as his finisher.
Yeah, I do remember that being a bit much, but
that's
I kind of look back. I kind of look back with rose-tinted glasses in a way. I kind of would like.
He does have a great
feud
feud with Cena, but
I like seeing Triple H as well. I'm sorry, I know a lot of people get sick of him, but I really like seeing him.
I mean, I think Triple H is kind of... I think a lot of people have problems with Triple H because obviously of his position and his history within the company, but I think kind of the history has proven him right in the fact that so many people have such good things to say about him generally. Like, yes, some people have some incredibly negative things to say about him being backstage politician and burying people, but like...
And booking himself into extra long matches.
But,
you know,
the vast majority of people, even though they've left WWE, say, do you know what, Triple H was the one who gave me the chance to do this and was really pushing me to push my character.
Just on Triple H really quickly, and I'm sorry, we'll get back on track, but I was listening to the WrestleMe pod, them talking about the most recent WrestleMania and how they were at WrestleMania and how the crowd had absolutely no idea what was going on with Triple H when he came out and retired. They had no idea that it was a retirement speech. The news that he was retiring hadn't come out. So the crowd didn't know about that yet, whereas I think by the time most people watched it, or the news had actually come through, or they announced it on comms, so everybody in the crowd had no idea. And they were like, why is he just standing there? So there was no thank you Taker, and Taker was kind of like, not Taker, sorry, there was no thank you Triple H. And Triple H was kind of waiting for that to happen, which is why it lasted so long. It was quite interesting.
Oh, that is weird.
Yeah.
I guess because maybe we've been watching or reading the news, wrestling news, and it's been well known that he's had this heart thing and is never going to get back into the ring.
Do you guys know something quite funny about the whole Occupy Raw segment, by the way?
What's that?
I don't. I almost certainly don't.
The Occupy Raw segment was actually put together as a bit of a troll to WWE fans. The week previously, after CM Punk had left the company, a small group of fans tried to occupy Raw and were escorted out of the building.
Really?
Yeah. And basically WWE put this segment together as a bit of a kind of art imitating life, fuck you, to the fans, which is, again, why the CM Punk element of the story is so integral
and this was obviously
the overall feud. This
was around the time of Occupy Wall Street and all that kind of stuff, wasn't
exactly.
it? And in terms of WWE seeing that as a bad thing, like any disruption, it's like with Daniel Bryan later down the line. Oh, you're vegan, you like the planet, that's a bad thing.
How good was he in that role, though? God, he was so good as that sort of heel champ for that bit.
Yeah.
Anyway, so finally we have it. Our hero is on the card for WrestleMania against his nemesis, and if he wins, he gets a shot in the main event of WrestleMania for the title. But there are still a few weeks until Mania and a few more twists in the road. So after this, Orton and Batista are rightly pissed off about developments and have some serious beef with Triple H. Triple H will try and smooth this over by booking Orton in a no DQ match against Bryan. But Bryan would win this despite Batista getting involved. So in the main event of Raw, later that night, Triple H calls out Bryan to the ring to have a conversation and show a bit of respect. But Steph comes out and she says she's pressing charges for what happened during Occupy Raw last week. A load of cops show up and arrest Bryan, put him in handcuffs and put him on the floor. But this is all a ruse and they aren't real cops. So while Bryan is handcuffed to the ground, Triple H beats the living crap out of him for 10 minutes.
I love this segment.
Like, it is brutal. That Bryan gets no
batters
offense.
him.
Absolutely batters him for 10 whole minutes.
It's Mick Foley-esque because his hands are handcuffed behind his back for the whole thing. Triple H is chucking him on the announcer's table, chucking him into the barricade. It's real rough.
Wow.
Really rough. And Raw ends with Bryan in a heap and a shirtless Triple H, still wearing trousers though, pointing at the WrestleMania sign. And so we end this episode of Follow the Feud with our hero battered and bruised, but with a shot against his nemesis. And if he wins, he gets to face Orton and Batista for the Heavyweight Championship in the main event of WrestleMania. But that is for the next episode.
Oh my God, so perfectly done. And I love the way you said our hero at the end there. It's a little callback to previous
I know, I was so
episodes.
angry, but then you brought in the nemesis stuff and then all of a sudden it all works.
God, I reckon you've got a career in script writing after this.
Oh no.
No, he hates promos.
I hate promos.
That's true. Okay, fine. Maybe just freestyle it. In fact, freestyle the next episode. Don't prepare anything.
Well, I'm looking forward to the next one because I don't really have to do anything. It's just
one match. Well, not one match, 2 matches.
2 matches, WrestleMania, done.
Maybe an epilogue.
Yeah, there's probably, I'm going to have to look up. Yeah, there's some bits afterwards, I guess.
Retirement, general managing, return. There's a lot to cover.
I'm not doing all of that. Not doing all of that.
Come on. Marriage, personal life.
Come on, John.
Stuff.
Don't be a B.
Total Bellas, appearances.
Come on, John. Could be a B+ player.
No, we've nearly finished it.
We haven't
segment,
nearly finished.
guys,
We've actually nearly finished something. Man, usually we start stuff and never follow it through. Anyway, let's finish this podcast after a quick break.
And now the power comes out. And Lacey Lane bounced off the apron.
And that is the hardest part of the ring. Nothing but steel under that.
Oh, no. This is bad. This is bad.
Thank you so much, John. Yet again, another great episode. It was so fun to do Follow the Feud again, especially for me. I've got a new setup in my office, listeners. I've got a new mic and a new mic stand, which means I can move my mic stand really far and it's got great rotation. I actually genuinely just put my feet up during that episode.
I thought I could see your knee in shot.
Yeah.
Never done that before.
I was like, is that his child?
Laid back. Laid back,
kind
feet
of
up.
baldish, hairy child.
I mean, there was a long period where I didn't really say anything, but it's just you two. You've done the research, John, and Sam has watched and remembers a lot of this, and it's great. It's like I'm watching a live podcast happen. But yeah, hopefully the listeners felt the same way. Thank you, John. I reckon we should try and fit that in the next couple of months.
Yeah,
I would say a month, but we only do 2 eps a month these days. So
probably not next episode because it's Double or Nothing, isn't it?
Hell yeah.
Ooh.
Maybe the one after that though. I'm about for that.
Tell me one match I should be looking forward to at Double or Nothing, because I've got no idea what's happening in AEW.
Yeah, I'm a bit out of the loop as well.
Owen Hart Cup.
Owen Hart's back. What a return! Oh my god!
Huge, ruined it. Finals of that: CM Punk, Hangman Adam Page.
Oh yeah.
Oh, of course, yeah. CM Punk in a title match.
Yeah.
I've got no idea how that's been going. Has he got a chance? Do you think they're building him up to actually have a chance?
I think CM Punk's going over. I think he's going to take the title.
Wow. I suppose he's got to have the title at some point.
I think he's got to take the title. I don't think it would hurt Adam Page too much for him to lose it, and I think it would also set up Forbidden Door, having CM Punk probably take on Okada.
Oh yeah. Wow, I can't wait to see that. See if CM Punk can handle a main event title match. If he can still.
Honestly,
do it.
I think CM Punk, Hangman Adam Page is win-win, because if Page goes over, that's only going to build his stock. CM Punk goes over, it's just what the world wants. Yeah. So
yes. I nearly started singing "What a Girl Wants, What a Girl Needs." I mean, I just did start singing that. Who was that? Is that Samantha Mumba or something like that?
Oh,
no.
That kind of vibe. The listeners will...
Christina Aguilera.
Oh, God, I said Christian.
Christina
Aguilera.
Finally, Christian has done something good.
Christian. All right. Let's stop Googling stuff. So the next podcast will be Double or Nothing. That is great news. When is that? In 2 weekends?
Yes, that's May 29th.
Ooh, okay. That's cool. Yes, I can do that. Sam, how do people get in touch?
So if they want to email us, that's hardestpartofthering@gmail.com. If you want to social media us, that's @hardestpartpod, and we're on Instagram and Twitter. If you want to buy us a virtual coffee, that is ko-fi, Ko-fi, patreon.com/HPOTR.
It is indeed. And I put a little shout out, or not shout out, but just a reminder on our Twitter the other day to say if anybody fancies buying us a coffee because of all the years of hard work, then you can do here. We got 4 coffees bought for us.
Hey? First I've heard of this.
I told you. I put it in the group.
Adam's been hoarding the coffees, John.
I put it in the group. It goes into our communal.
Thank you,
PayPal.
everyone, so much for any kind of donation and support for the show, because that is incredible. We do work really hard on the show, so it's really nice to kind of get that recognition.
Yeah,
That's
John
lovely.
in particular has put in a lot of work for this episode. I just watched some episodes, so send a coffee. John's Way, co-fi.com/HPOTR.
Also, rate us on like Apple Podcasts or wherever you do a rating thing.
Yeah,
we haven't had one of those for a long time.
You can rate on Spotify now as well. You can actually give star ratings.
Cool,
so
can you?
yeah, do that. Yeah, leave us a review. I haven't actually checked for ages if we've had any new reviews, so I might do that after this. Yeah.
Can we get in contact with that one guy who gave us a kind of middling review to see if he's happier with the podcast now?
Yeah, we
6
got a
years
3-star, didn't we? Yeah, we should.
It really hurt that, but that was the fire that lit us. That was
I think
lit underneath us.
If we get in touch with them, it'll probably be like, "Sorry, who are you?" And we'll
Yeah.
be like, "Wait, and he was like, "Oh, I've totally forgot about that," and it'll be very underwhelming. Anyway, thank you, John, once again. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Hi, Brett. We miss you if you're listening. Thanks for doing the artwork for the ep. Hopefully, we'll see you for Double or Nothing. Who knows if you'll be able to make that? But if not, there'll be 3 of us here, or 2 of us, or maybe just 1 of us. But Hardest Part of the Ring will come out, as it will continue to do every couple of weeks for the rest of our lives.
Whoa, that's a big commitment. Actually, probably not that big, actually. We're all middle-aging.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
all right.
We were
All
so
right.
young when we started this. Goodbye to you, Sam.
See you later.
Goodbye, John.
Goodbye.
Goodbye from me. That was the hardest part of the ring.
That is the hardest part